Hey everyone, welcome to Tuesday here in the Design Studio. I'm Donna Hoffman, the interior design advocate, and your advocate in all things design. And if it's Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, we stop everything we're doing. I've been in a dusty warehouse with Katie checking in furniture, checking out furniture that's been delivering for some projects. Oh my gosh, things are looking beautiful. Some things needed a little bit of repair though. It's the bummer of the furniture world. Anyway, I'd love to take your questions live. We're here every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, and I always give you a little mini lesson, and then I take questions on that topic. So if you have a question about paint color trends for 2018 and 19, or selecting paints for your home, by all means, as soon as you join, put your question live into the feed here so I will have time to get to your question before I sign off. That said, please do not ask me to pick out your paint color for your bedroom or your living room because I don't see what you're seeing. I don't see all your fabrics. I don't see the adjoining spaces. Don't know your design fingerprint, yada, 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 yada. But let's talk about paint color trends. What's coming in? What's starting to soften? So if you've ever taken any of my workshops, particularly my workshop on design trends, you know that design trends don't just start and stop. They develop, they start to morph, they start to, all kinds of sounds happening over there. I don't know what that is. Katie's talking to somebody. They start to develop and morph, and they can go on to a diagonal, and then they can sort of flatline, and then they start to develop again. They don't just drop off like dropping off a cliff until the very end of that trend. And by the time you see a color everywhere for year upon year upon year upon year, and you're seeing it in the lowest priced retailers, then you know that something's starting to get ready to pop. So for paint colors, 2018, 2019. So you've seen that gray has been having a strong moment, and for a while, and that gray story has been going strong for about 7 to 8 years now, which is about the length of most design trends before things start to morph. And we do see gray starting to change now, and the forecasters are saying that gray paint is going to start to become a little more grayish. So sometimes it looks tan, sometimes it looks gray. Now, white still having its moment, but white is starting to warm up as well, going a little bit more stone. A lot of people want a little extra warmth in that white farmhouse feeling or that rustic feeling where we're seeing a lot of these whites on the wall. But the big story, the big news that many in the industry are saying, this is a trend we're starting to see coming and developing in the show houses, in the big trade shows in the United States and also through Europe. But we're starting to see the return of, wait for it, tan and sand. Yes, kind of makes sense when you think about the grays that were very cool with those blue undertones, and then they started to warm up, and now we're seeing grayish, which is something that can look tan or gray depending upon the light you're seeing it in. So not surprising, we're starting to see some of these sandy colors happening and the tans starting to happen on walls again, and the expectation is that we'll start to see more of that. In terms of splash colors and other colors beyond the neutrals, we're still seeing blue having a moment, whether it's a gray blue or a sweeter blue, almost like a bright navy. Katie and I were just at a show house here in Bucks County in the Philadelphia region of the United States. Saw some gorgeous, vibrant blues, particularly in velvets. Vibrant navies that weren't quite cerulean blue or royal blue, but they really had a lot of life to them rather than a navy that goes pretty black. We're still seeing millennial pink starting to get a little more androgynous and go blushier as well. We are starting to see the warmer colors returning as well in splashes. Red still starting to show its beautiful face, and also goldenrod and yellows. Now, before you panic and think, holy cow, I just paid a painter X number of dollars, or my spouse and I just spent 3 weekends, putting gray everywhere. Are you saying, Donna, it's out? No. I'm just saying that what you're going to see on the trend curve is starting to morph and change. So what do we as designers do with something like that? Well, I'm going to tell you right now that a couple of years ago, I went to the Maison and Objet show in Paris, and I saw a little bit of goldenrod pop out, that really golden colored yellow, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. I wonder if we're going to see it. Didn't see any of it in the market for a long time. About a year later, it's either Elle Decor or House Beautiful, one of those shelter magazines, could have been Veranda, So a little bit of this goldenrod starting to pop out. Still didn't see it catching on at retail. I got a quick sneak peek of a beautiful room happening at the Kips Bay Show House, which Katie and I are attending this Friday. So if you follow us on Instagram, we'll be doing some Instagram stories so that you can see what we're seeing as we're seeing it. But one of my favorite designers of all time, Jamie Drake, his room looks pretty goldenrod. And I don't just mean little flecks of it. I mean the walls are goldenrod and the furniture's in goldenrod. So why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you this story that I don't want you to panic about paint color trends. You have to do what you love. We in the design community do what we love, and we also do what clients ask us to do. So clients, like design lovers, tend to be really influenced by what you're seeing in the shelter magazines, House Beautiful and Veranda and Elle Decor and Arc Digest, yada, 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 and the design blogs. And if you follow on your phone, if you're following an Instagram feed, hopefully you're following ours, I'm going to tell you right now that as a design blogger, and many Instagrammers started as design bloggers, and we are fashionably late to Instagram, but we appreciate that you've been hopping on board with us. You know, we're taught as bloggers and Instagrammers, hey, it's the light, bright pictures that really get a lot more attention and more likes on Instagram. So a lot of Instagram feeds, you're seeing a lot of these whiter colors, lighter grays. That doesn't mean that's the only thing trending. It just means that on Instagram, that's what tends to get more attention. So we Instagrammers tend to feature those lighter interiors more. So if you have a question about paint color or color trending for 2018 or 19, please pop it into the feed so I can get to answer you before it's time for me to sign off here. But the point that I'm making about the color trends and what's coming in for 18 and 19 is that I don't want you to have a panic attack if maybe you never liked the gray trend. Okay, let it go. We designers, we were designing with gray before gray was a thing. We were designing in whites before white was having its moment. Some of us are designing with tans and creams and sands on the wall because certain clients and families don't like gray. So I want you to be really clear to always be true to what you love, what you respond to as well. Okay? So I just put that out there to you. Okay, I see some questions are coming in. Okie dokie, Shuri is saying, hello, Shuri. Ashley is saying, Donna, are there any differences in decorating in a room with bold wall color, especially in regards to wall art? I have to hop off, but we'll watch back later. Thanks. Okay. Are there any differences in decorating in a room with bold wall color, especially in regards to wall art? Well, here's the story. If you look at uber modern interiors where the wall colors tend to be in those stone colors and the whites, the wall becomes about the art, right? The art just really moves forward. It doesn't compete in any way, shape, or form with the art that's sitting on that wall color. I want you to think about the wall color as the backdrop to everything that goes in front of it. Your furniture, does your furniture push off in contrast, or does your furniture sink into the wall in a very similar color and tone? Well, same thing with your artwork. And if you look at the great museums, most of them don't have super duper colored walls, do they? They tend to make the art the feature. So if you have boldly colored walls, just think about what you want that art to do on that wall. So do you want a totally unrelated color story in the artwork to the wall color? Okay, that can work depending upon your design fingerprint and everything else going on around it. Do you want that art to be very quiet and push into the wall? So you just want to think about it in terms of layering, and there's no right or wrong. That said, curators and museums do look at what art pieces look good near each other or next to each other. We designers do the same thing. We'll look at all of the artwork that a client has. And that doesn't mean we're working with clients who, own, Chagall's or Renoirs, right? But the artwork that a client has, regardless of price, they love it. It's important to them, so it's important to us. And we look at, okay, what looks good on this particular wall color as opposed to that particular wall color? What looks good in this particular room of furnishings? Or can I reframe it? So it's not just about the wall color, Ashley, and to everyone else wondering about this, it's about the curated whole, the sum total. So basic answer, think about how you want that wall color to affect the art itself. Do you want it to push the art? Do you want it to soak up the art? Do you want it to be in conflict a little bit? Do you want to create a little bit of dissonance so the art is really popping off that wall? Those are just some things to consider. And do you need to change the matting or framing on a piece of artwork if you're not dealing with an oil or something gallery wrapped so that it sits more easily on a particular wall color? That can be important too. In fact, you may even want to bring your wall color swatch with you to a framer so that when you're picking out new matting, you're aware of what that wall color is as well. Hopefully, Ashley, that helps you. Great question. Pamela wants to know, what is a good color for a 6-year-old home we will be moving into? Needs new paint inside living room, and dining room extra. I don't know what that last thing means. But anyway, all right, Pamela, what is a good color for a 6-year-old home we will be moving into? Needs new paint inside living room, dining area. Again, a little bit hard for me to answer, Pamela, without saying what else you own. Sounds to me like you are asking if there's a good neutral color palette. If you're going to be staying in that home, it's new, sounds like, so you're staying in that home for the long haul, I would say to go toward neutrals on the walls that you really, really love and that work well with your furnishing. So you have to be really careful about your undertone. The undertone is a color that moves forward in the vapor of that paint. You ever put a tan on the wall and it looks kind of peachy, or a gray on the wall and it looks kind of blue? That's the undertone. So Pamela, I don't want you to work when you're choosing your neutrals. Easier to work with a paint deck than the wall of paint at Home Depot or Lowe's, because on a paint deck, at the bottom of that deck, you'll see the indicated undertone. You know, it goes from lighter to mid-tone to darkest. Well, that color at the base will tell you really what that undertone is. But I don't think you can go wrong ever with the creams and the pale grays and the tans.